Good. Jim, how are you? Good. I'm Dell today.
Oh, you are?
Here, you can sit here. I'll sit here.
No, I have no preference.
Okay.
I want to be as far away from the fire.
He won't listen.
Firing line.
He never listened to him.
Well,
He's got a mind of his own.
That's right.
Like an old stray dog. You've been around here as long as I have, since 1972. This property on High Street, the vacant lot.
Pretty sure nobody will confuse me with mine.
Didn't they have a house there once before? I'm gonna say I believe so. Oh, it did. But I thought it was a gray colored house or something like that. It was a small house. Yeah, it's back in there. But,
Hey.
I didn't know, because it don't seem like it's that.
There are no
29 feet.
bad ideas.
Yeah, I always go around and look at all this stuff. I thought they had one on there at one time, back in the 70s. I was just keeping notes.
anybody know what's causing all the traffic problems today on US 50?
It's spraying, no. I thought there was they were working on the
Working on the highway.
down by Walmart, I think.
Oh, really? Well, that's good.
Yes.
Pretty bad. I didn't have to go down that way today.
I remember
Uncle John,
Oh, really? You're welcome to it.
I had seen John I'm okay.
Yeah, what I did was the old one.
Oh, yeah.
And I was bringing, yeah, that was one.
This,
Yeah. Yeah, I got everything. I pretty much keep everything. No. It was, yeah, it was issued to everybody.
I should have.
I got that and two or three other things. I keep everything. I was bringing to the family. If someone's got a question, I just try to have the answer. So I'll try to bring it with me.
He's got a full plate,
Oh, I
as you
can
might
try to get you
imagine.
a copy made.
Tonight, his family graduating.
Or keep it. I can always,
No, that, no, I'll
Yeah.
tie it in. They're all.
yeah, I just didn't bring all the other stuff with me.
I don't know what's
But I
going
tried
on. Is the Lawrenceburg,
I can keep it at home.
or is there something going on?
This is a 23. I picked up the wrong one. I got a 24. And I still haven't done it. People say, what happened to this date?
I don't know, he said there was some event, maybe it was some celebration. Yeah, this time of year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I do
There's
this.
somebody who's,
I'm not.
we have
I keep notes from everything.
3, we have
5 or 6 years ago.
total of
Got that stuff.
older ones. We have 3,
When everybody's here, that we don't have them at my house. Don't drink a lot.
just telling you.
The amount of money they would put.
Yeah, it's, they're staggered.
Are they staggered enough?
They're staggered, they're staggered,
Everybody
yeah.
can pick up each other's load?
Yeah, but it's,
What have you been doing? You been behaving yourself?
it's a,
So, if I bring a pen, stay at the house.
catching.
The girl who brought me in,
Are you pretty much retired from everything?
original Wayne stuff. She was like,
That's me.
and then her takes blood.
Off a road trip.
Wow.
Come home. Oh, wow.
I'm not doing it. She's doing fly.
Went to a cruise to Alaska here in August.
Well, that's tough, the small, you know,
She loved it.
we don't have that, we don't have traditional stuff. You know, it's really difficult to deal with.
Pretty nice.
Ready to go. All right, I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Lawrenceburg Board of Zoning Appeals. Roll call, please.
Rudy Ramey,
Here.
Bob Mills.
Here.
Jim Crook,
here.
Owen Cross,
Here.
Scott McLean. Here. Attorney Doug Garner.
Here.
And myself.
Review of the minutes, please. Do we have a review?
I have no changes to the minutes.
Okay. Staff report.
Let's take a motion on approving the minutes, though, okay?
Make a motion that minutes be approved. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Approved. New business. Stephen Murray, 2232 Properties LLC. The applicant is requesting variance to the development standards of section 154.11-3 and 154.37-C of the Lawrenceburg zoning code. The purpose of this application is to allow for the construction of a 2-unit residential structure on the same lot as an existing 2-unit residential structure. The affected property is located at 360 to 364 Elm Street, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, parcel number 15-07-124-204-129.000-026. Are you here, Stephen? Yep. Could you go over your variance application, please?
Basically, I'm back in here. I was here in December. Basically, like you said, I want to build a 2-unit duplex to Lawrenceburg's current standards, I'll have 4 covered parking spots on the same property as my current duplex.
And that's at the corner of Elm and Tate?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none. Are there any questions from those in attendance, the audience?
Are you still gonna split the lots and have separate lots? Is it gonna be on the same lot? My question would be, the other duplex, is it gonna get the same consideration for covered parking? Is the new one he's gonna build?
This variance is also for parking standards.
Say that again?
This variance is also for the parking standards. So he wouldn't be adding any extra parking for that duplex.
Yeah, it's just something that we strived on changing when we started building houses and doing different things around town. There were several of them in the area that we had 2 houses, one sitting back by the alley, one out front. City of Lawrenceburg bought both the houses to turn them into one lot. So all the work that we did getting people to come to town and build these new homes and put work in their new homes, I'd hate to see us just start letting people take the yard space away just to fill it up with lots, just new houses. So I'd like y'all to keep that in mind. Got nothing against him wanting to put places in Lawrenceburg. There's other lots. Put them on other lots. Not behind, just don't let them stack them. That's all I got.
Thank you. Is there any additional comments?
So we just bought the yellow house next door, 354 Elm, and well, with the parking lot that's already in the alley back there, there's other garages in the alley. That alley's always really busy. Not to mention there's already, I know he's making parking spots, but there's already a lot of cars parked around there. Every time I go there, I usually park in the yard or something just because there's not enough spots on the street. Yeah, so I'm just worried about traffic, and that alley's hard to pull in and out. I mean, there's parking spots on one side of the alley, but the other side of the alley is blocked by a house that's literally right on the road. So, that's just my only concerns, really.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments?
Yeah, I just want to say, basically that as far as parking, driving, my parking spots will have concrete that goes all the way to the alley. So my tenants will not affect any kind of traffic or alleys or parking anywhere else. So, other than raising the value of my home and your home by building a house, it won't affect anything.
Will that raise my value adding another duplex next to my home?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a nice duplex, it's not gonna be a rundown house.
Not saying.
Other than that, that's all I got.
Any additional questions from the board?
Is this 2 bedroom?
Yes.
What square footage are these?
I went off the Lawrenceburg, it'll be 1344 a unit. And then my covered parking was 20 by 32. Basically, and then I'll have concrete all the way to the street, which is another 4 foot.
There's a lot of people parked behind there now?
It's grass. It's grass that leads to an alley.
How about your tenants you have there now? You got,
I have parking in front of the duplex and then along the street.
do they park in the back too sometimes? You know?
Just on Tate.
There's a fence. Can't park back there.
Oh, okay. That's all I got.
Any additional comments? Can I get a motion to have our attorney read the finding of fact?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The applicant prepared findings of fact that state as follows. The grant will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because all improvement are contained to my property. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the use is not changing, and new structure should raise adjoining property values. 3, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because the code only allows a single primary structure. Any variance requested represents the smallest deviation possible. Because I am meeting all other codes except those stated in the variance request, and the approval of the variance requested is not based upon legally existing nonconformities of a similar nature in the same zoning district nor regulations from other zoning districts.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept or deny the finding of facts in the variance?
Make a motion to deny it.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to deny the variance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the request for the variance has been denied. And we want to, you have the paperwork to sign. Go. Thank you. Yep. Yeah. All right, next one is Amber Denning UA Properties LLC. The applicant is requesting a variance to the Development Standards, Section 154.22-C of the Lawrenceburg Zoning Code. Purpose of this application is to allow for the construction of a residential structure on a lot that doesn't meet minimum lot width standards. Affected property is located on East High Street, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, parcel number 15-07-14-402-034.000-026. Is Amber here? Can you go over your variance application, please?
As you summarized, we're here to request a variance to build on the subject lot on High Street. It's our understanding that the minimum requirement is a 30-foot width to be buildable, and we have 29 feet there. So 29 by 114 is our lot size. And I know we're here just for the approval of being, whether we may or may not improve upon the lot, but I want to mention that the image that we have in our mind would be a home that would be single-family residential. It'd be approximately 20 feet wide by 60 feet deep. We haven't dove into plans or any of that. We're just accomplishing whether this is something that we're going to be able to do or not. And we're trying to stick with the historic facade that would have been similar to what would have originally been there, or, you know, kind of the look of where downtown Lawrenceburg has been going with preserving the historic charm.
Thank you.
I don't know. I provided a lot of notes there. I didn't really know what was going to be requested or required from me, but I don't know. I'm sure people will have comments, but I guess other things to mention are that, like was said previously, parking in downtown is an issue. We wouldn't be affecting the parking situation down there. We'd actually be improving it because we would have parking in the rear. The lot currently, if you're not familiar with it, it sits with a chain link fence in the front of it. It's been like that for years. It just gets trashed, and that's all we do is pick up trash out of that lot. And I'm sure that previous owner had the chain link fence to kind of alleviate some of that. At one point in time, there was a residential building structure on that lot, and we'd hope to see that come back and eliminate that fence.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you go ahead.
You plan on moving there?
No, I do not, but it would be owner occupied. We've done a lot of improvements in downtown Lawrenceburg and brought a lot of people that have been good for our community.
Go ahead, Scott, sorry.
So, 2 or 3 bedrooms, 2-story, correct?
Everything to still be determined, and that would be based on building code with Lawrenceburg, and then I also understand we'd be in the historic district. So all of those details would be, you know, still yet to be determined, but my vision would be a 2-story, yes, and 2 bedrooms.
So I look at this one page that you printed off, which is a nice concept to have. Actually, that's a 3-story, but that's a nice.
These are just throw out examples to give you an idea, but yes. I think there's a lot of opportunity. It just, you know, we gotta see what might be allowable and then what makes most sense for a resident.
Are there any questions from the audience?
What's
Don't mind,
Can you come up and
state your name?
I own 237 East High.
Okay.
And I gotta, you know, if you cut me off, I can't get nothing in there to fix my house. 2 foot, you can't stand on the ladder at 2 foot and go up 2 stories. I don't care who you are. All right, it's grass. This is an 1810 house, one of the first ones in Lawrenceburg. You can look at the courthouse, okay? It's got a stone foundation, doesn't leak, okay? You start digging, disturbing it, who's responsible? Are you responsible for giving this variance? I'm just asking.
Could you state your name for me?
Huh?
Could you state your name for me, for the record?
Thomas Zint. I've lived in this area for 59 of my 66 years, in this area, around the corner in this house. Now, when this guy bought it, not you didn't buy it, but Gene Schmar bought it, okay? He tore this house down, All he did was put dirt over the foundation. So the foundation is still in the front of the building. At one point, that house was connected to my house. It was a row house. Okay, it was a row house. Now, the only way I would do something like that is if you would put a firewall between your building and mine, construct it, put a parapet wall there, and then guarantee that it's not gonna leak. I'll let you use the side of my house. That way I don't have to do maintenance on it. But if you don't, then I'm gonna fight you for the variance, because I want all 7 feet. I got 5-foot scaffold, and then I got 2-foot outriggers to work on my house. So, and that's not costing me nothing, because I already own it. Now, if you make me go out and rent something, then it would cost me.
So you're saying you would want access to our yard to be able to work on your house? Is that what you're?
No, I need more than 2 foot. You're showing me approximately 2 foot there.
But you're saying you'd be on our property to
Right.
work on your house?
Right, right. But I'm just saying, you know, if you want to, have that house built right next to mine and not disturb it. You know, I don't know if is this person gonna put a basement in it? Because like I said, it's the old foundation is in there. I can guarantee you that it's in there. With the cistern that's in the backyard, that that's sunken in the yard. I know, but I'm just saying, you know, I've lived there enough that, you know, that he did this back in the day and they never said anything. Now, the lot across the street, the city bought, and they dug out the foundation and put it back in with dirt. So the old, you know, like I said.
Backs up against the levee, right?
Right, the one that's across the street from my house. You know, they did it right, but like I said, Gene didn't do it right. He just covered it up, and he just used it for a garden and the mow yard, you know, just to have a yard. He didn't intend to build anything on it. Just like the other lot that's in between that you got with the trees in it. So, I mean, that's the only thing I could say. I mean, if you can, whoever is gonna build this, if they're gonna be willing to construct a firewall, to code, you know, and to use my house as a site. I mean, you know, that's less property that you gotta put in too, that somebody has to build. I mean, that's the way the house was originally, and then like I said, toward the other house that's sitting there, that was the walkway to go back to the backyard. Like I said, back in the 1800s, they didn't, I mean, it was a small lot, so.
Address that?
Absolutely, yes.
I think those are valid concerns. I think that's all the things that are still to be determined. We're here today just to get the yes or no, can we do it, because of the 1-foot difference that we're working with.
Right.
What you're seeing, the image there, is just to simply show that, like, that fits.
Right, but I'm just saying.
My understanding is that we've got currently a 0 to 5-foot lot line, but we haven't even established, like, we would definitely approach you if it was something where we wanted to connect to your property, and then, of course, yes, it's gonna have to be done to Lawrenceburg Building Code. We actually have a property on Walnut Street that we've had to allow them to get into our property to put a firewall, as you're saying, and we're not attached. But I'm sure that there would be something like that in place. I'm sure that the drainage would be addressed. I'm sure all those things would fall into the building permit portion, next phase of this. So I guess that's really all I can say. We would definitely do this respectfully, and, I mean, to me, there are 9 feet there potentially to work with. I do understand that, like, the overhang of the building or gutters, wherever the furthest point out is, that's where we're starting to count feet of being offset. So that limits us a little bit there, but I don't know. I think that you're saying that you would prefer that we go through the process of attaching to your building versus having a skinny space there.
I mean, if you want to have enough space, I mean, that would be the logical part. Otherwise, I'd have to request a wider spot for me to do work out there.
To me, I feel like ideally it would be a minimum of 3 feet on each side, which is similar to a property that we
Still
have.
3 feet.
And I know that's tight, but then we're not attached. We don't have roofing connection issues, future water problems by that, because there's always gonna be something.
Well,
And then also, we can kind of control drainage and access of the property with concrete between each buildings. But again, I think those are things that we cross on the next phase of, can we even do this or not? Am I answering it?
You know, like I said, it's an 1810 building. It's got unfired bricks on there. They're soft. You start hitting on, I mean, when Baker Concrete did the sidewalks in front of that house back in the 80s, the backhoe got a hold of my entrance to my coal chute and just started ripping it out. And they cracked my foundation up to my window. And then the guy come down and took a thing of mortar, and instead of putting a brick back in there, he made a mortar brick. So, you know, they have, you know, and then at the time, the city engineer, Bob Rizzo, he said, well, I'll paint it. He said, you got any paint left? I said, yes, I got paint left. He said, well, let me use it and I'll paint it. I said, well, Bob, I said, for one thing, I said, the house has been painted, paint's been on there for years, it's faded, it's not gonna match. Well, yeah, it's the same color. I said, no, paint fades after a while. And he couldn't get it through his head, because I told him, I said, you paint the whole front of my house if you want to, but you're not gonna patch it.
Well,
But like
we're
I said,
pretty-
it was just, you know, I mean, these old houses that, you know, they've stood for 214 years.
We're very particular, and saving the historic structures is our specialty. I know you've watched us do the building next door on High Street and seen in-depth repairs.
I've seen what you've done.
And that was
like I
done the
said,
right way. You saw the whole thing opened up, so we are very, very particular, and I'm sure that anybody working on that lot would be insured.
Like I said,
And
I don't know too many more older houses that are in the city of Lawrenceburg than these. So,
So I have a question. You mentioned 3 feet. Well, you actually have 4.5 feet on each side, correct?
I said, yeah, I would hope for a minimum, like ideally to me, it would be a minimum of 3 feet on each side, like just because I know that example in real life by our other property, and it's tight, but it's accessible. We've tuck pointed and worked on brick on ours. They've worked on siding and brick on the one next door to us. It's doable. I know that that's doable. So to me, if I had a minimum of 3 feet on either side, whichever side we're getting closer to, that's substantial enough to get what we would need to be done and to maintain it with single-man scaffolding.
Any additional questions from the audience or from the board?
Yes, I do.
Step up, state your name, please, for the record.
My name's William Halbig, Bill. I own the house on the other side of the property. You brought up there's just so many questions and issues that are going to be brought up. The variance minimum is supposed to be what, 30 feet?
30.
And they got 29. Over the years, who knows, it might have been 30 feet. His concern is very valid. They start doing foundations, start digging there, there's going to be real issues. My sewer line runs right next to the house from the backyard to the front of East High Street. I mean, that can be compromised so simply, even though I replaced it. The brick, as he pointed out, it's not a baked brick. It's, you know, and they were built, like you said. I've owned this house since 1985. And they, recently, this past year, they were generous to let me have a contractor come in and do some outside repairs. The only way to get to that soffit and the roof is from their property, because they own both sides of it. And like you said, you need access to do some of these kind of repairs. Something that's in the backyard on their property is a well. Like you said, the foundation. The well is sunk a couple times. And Popcorn, Smars, I told him about it one time. I said, you know, your property's sinking over there. You better go over and check that out. Of course, it's an old brick well, so it was collapsing inward. So he brought some guy over there with a pickup truck and backed in there and filled it up with dirt. Just like what is happening on State Line in you know, what's happened when they tried to build that parking lot, and you'll probably have the same problem. They get in there, start digging something, they're gonna find chicken bones, and then it's gonna be a Indian dig again. Didn't that happen? Yes. That shut down the parking lot. State line is still tore up for almost 2 years. So it's just something you might have to deal with because these are older homes. It doesn't bother me knowing that it's 29 feet, 30 feet. If the variance was much more than that, 5 and 10 feet, it could be an issue. But, and you gentlemen probably know more about maintenance on the house and how residents next to each other have to help compromise just so you can get maintenance done on your buildings. And especially, like you pointed out, these are some of the oldest buildings down there. And yeah, I've had issues with things that were done that contractors did, and next thing you know, you got huge problems. And luckily that there's more modern stuff to repair those, and we have been done. So my concern is like your concern. How can we repair the outside of the houses? I'm not gonna own this house much longer. My wife and I are done with this house. It's time to move on, and that's what we are gonna do. They actually approached us about buying that single lot just to add it to our house. And that's what, back in the day, that's what Popcorn did. Like you said, he tore Popcorn, which is Smars. He tore that building down next door, and then, you know, just, he kept trying to buy my building so he could tear it down, just make one big, huge lot out of everything. So that didn't work out for him. But my concern is the same as his. You know, maintenance, you start construction, you break something. You know, the parking is another issue. Definitely in the back alley, you'd have to add at least a couple of parking spots, because sometimes the front of the street gets filled up. We got cars from Ohio parking down there, and it's like, where'd they come from? And it's not just because of the park and the activities. People just show up. Though the car might sit there for 2 or 3 days, you know, and then, you know, if it sits there, looks too suspicious to me, I'll call the police and tell them, you guys gotta check this car out, see what's going on. But I think, you know, like I said, you might know more, I'm sure you do, about maintenance and people doing maintenance on their buildings. And the parking issue, definitely have to have parking in the back, you know, so you gotta pour a slab and have that done. Just like you were talking about, you know, Bob Rizzo, he came to me and said, you know, this is when we were doing, that's when they were starting Argosy. And he said, I can add parking spots in the back, you know, you pay for the concrete and so on. And I said, yeah, do it while you can. And just like the front of the street, you were there and saw it. My sidewalk is all the way to the porch, and the whole porch was poured at the same time. That they did that when they were fixing the sidewalks up and down East Side Street. Of course, that one, they did, for 3 years, they tore up the street 3 times. I guess Lawrenceburg just had too much money, because let's fix the gas line, let's fix the water line, you know, put some electric in. I don't know, they were having a mess out there. So, like you know, we go back a few years so we know how it works. That's my biggest concern is, you know, you get into construction, you compromise the foundation, just like the foundation at my house is stone. I mean, the courthouse even have a picture in it showing the roof of my house and the 37 flood, water up to the roof. You can imagine what kind of mess that was. And anyway, I just need to last close by saying, just consider those things. You know, I don't know how those guarantees are going to work, but you know, if you get into a can of worms and you're that close to somebody else's foundation that's not a conventional concrete foundation with rot in it, and you break something who's going to be responsible for that. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't really have much response to that. Valid concerns, again, the foundation. I think I'm back to, I feel like that falls into part 2 of what building plans would be approved when we would potentially get to that part. I would imagine not putting a basement on a property there. The target buyer is a mature buyer who would likely not prefer to have a basement either. And then we did say parking in the rear. We have the same depth as you, 114 feet, and we'd expect to have 2 spots back there and also an attached garage where the people would park inside of there. So, I don't know.
Any additional questions? Anybody? Nope. All right.
These 2 gentlemen's lots are great examples, though. Your lot is 30 feet and beautiful brick house there. I'm glad you didn't tear it down. Love that house. And then yours is 17 feet wide. So that's a really good example of what can be done there. And I know we're talking about after the fact and possibly, their concerns with the older buildings, but the older buildings are our passion, and that's something we would be looking out for. And I would hope that the guidance of the building codes would alleviate the concerns that they might have.
Probably in 1810, that was all one building. It could have been. My neighbor on the other side of me, he was gonna fix his living room floor while his mom and dad were in Florida. So he come over and told me, he said, look at this. I said, well, you might have to replace one sheet of plywood. It was leaking. Well, he goes down the basement and I heard a bunch of banging. So I went next door and I knocked on the door and looked to see what he was doing. Here he's tearing the whole floor out. He's got actual logs that was hewn on the top and bottom, still had the bark on the side for his floor joist. In between the 2 houses is still the bark on the joist. That log was still in there. So, like I said, it's one of the earliest houses there. And like I said, you start digging that stone foundation. It's only leaked one time. It came up through the floor. My grandpa had a workbench in the basement. He drilled holes to anchor his bench to the cement floor. And when 97, the river was up, the highest it's been for maybe a long time. It was percolating up through the floor. Didn't come in through the walls, it's the sides. It came up through the floor. So.
Mr. Zent, did this property ever have a basement like that you know of?
Do what?
This property here we're talking about, did it have a basement
Yeah,
at one time?
I'm pretty sure it
The
did.
old foundations.
The old foundation is still in there.
It was old rock?
It was probably rock.
Yeah, it was rock.
Cause it came all the way out it came out to the face of my house.
It probably seems so.
It was all the same, it was all in the same line. And they had actually they had like a little extension, they had like a little porch where they entered the porch and went into the house.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's been gone for quite a few years, but.
Before 1985.
Right, right. And like I said, when Gene had it, he just bulldozed it and covered it up. Didn't dig anything out. And then I'd be worried about if you're gonna go a slab on grade, is that gonna be higher than my house? Once you,
Everything was still
that's what I'm
to be
saying. I mean,
determined.
that's another thing. I mean, get your prints and then we'll go over them and decide then, But right now, I mean, I'm worried about, like I said, I'm worried
Today,
about
we're just deciding whether we should spend the time looking into all of that or not, if we can be approved to improve it, and then
Well,
we go
I mean-
from there.
Anything else? All right, can I get a motion to have our attorney read the finding of fact?
I'll make a motion. I second.
Motion seconded?
I'd like to make some comments, if you don't mind.
Sure, absolutely.
What I perceive here, and I don't know if anybody agrees with this, but we have a situation where you have 2 homeowners here who are concerned about their properties and have somebody who wants to do something with a property that's been vacant for a long time, obviously. But there's a lot of sensitivity that has to happen to make this right so that it doesn't make it wrong for two neighbors. Even though we're coming in 1 foot, part of me, I'm just speaking out, would prefer to see a plan. I think it's a doable thing, but a plan, actually, what are you going to do? Instead of saying, hey, go do it. And whatever you do, you work out with these guys. That's what I want to say. So.
May I say something?
Sure.
I think what he just brought up is a good idea, is to see that kind of plans. You mentioned that there's a potential buyer. So these plans, and see what it is. You said, you talked about no basement, and I don't know how the ordinance is you have to have a crawl space, or what has to happen. But I think it'd be a good idea just to see these plans and make a determination that it's doable or it's not. And to let him and I see it, just so it doesn't become an issue for us in the future. Because, you know, like I said, I'm gonna try to sell my property, and a potential buyer sees something going on next door, might be an issue. And might be just an issue because he owns the other side.
But do you think that new house beside your property would increase your property value?
Versus a chain link fence and garbage, or
I mean,
parked there?
Technically, probably would, wouldn't it?
Would it increase my property value?
It absolutely would.
It may, especially
I mean,
with
something this new going in there.
Lawrenceburg's proposing on the other side, the levee that's coming up, what's been going on downtown. You're getting people that have deeper pockets that want to buy property down here. I just talked to a fellow, after I saw one of the councilmen down there looking at the property. A fellow pulled up, and he's actually an investor that owns another piece of property right down there. He wasn't coming to the meeting tonight, and he's also a general contractor who's working on 2 buildings right here in the city. One of them's in the backyard of our, right behind your place. And so he came here 4 years ago and doesn't live in the area, but he does a lot of contracting work now around the city, upgrading houses, basically elderly people like us that need some help repairing places.
Yeah.
And he's interested in the house too.
I mean, there's a lot of single-family homes in Lawrenceburg that's came up in the last 20, 25 years.
The school district
They
is
tore them down.
an upcoming thing, and as long as Lawrenceburg keeps going in this direction, I think the city will just keep doing well.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as parking's very limited. There's a tree that Gene planted years ago, and Gene planted a tree. He planted a poplar tree there and down the street. And this tree leaks. I mean, it's sap comes out of it. Later on in the summer, you can't park your car there because the bees will be there from the sap, and it'll turn your car, just looks like Sigram's car.
There will be off-street parking for this project.
But like I said, that's in the back. That's proposed to be in the back. And then who would take the tree out?
Like you said, it's a poplar tree. This thing is growing. It started out this big around, and it's this big now. And he planted a couple of them there. And sooner or later, they're gonna have to take it down. They're gonna compromise the sewer lines, the water lines, and it's gonna be a huge problem. You have the sidewalks gonna start buckling.
They're already buckled.
A poplar is not a tree you wanna plant there.
Can I make one more?
Of course, that's another issue, not belonging to this.
I'm gonna say it one more time. Am I incorrect to think that, like, this is step one of yes or no, and then we move on to the building phase? Because I think we're just here to address the 1 foot difference variance. And both of your concerns are very valid, but it costs thousands of dollars to develop approved architectural plans to do this, and that's what we're trying to avoid. We want to see if it's worth putting the money in and going that step further. So that's one comment. I'm having a hard time not addressing the parking. I just have to.
There's still setback requirements to meet.
Right, but again, all of that still falls into step 2 of the building code, right? You had a truck, if you're so concerned about parking, you had a truck that you sat on the street that didn't move for 3 years.
Yeah, I know.
So, gosh, I didn't want to go there, but we're so mindful of our surroundings, and we're so mindful of what we do in this town. I don't know.
It was licensed and everything, so it was licensed.
And that's fine.
And the only reason it got towed was because my brake cables were hanging down and it hadn't worked. I don't live on a hill, so I don't
Okay,
use emergency brake
but I'm just
cable.
saying. And then trees, we'll address that later.
We've got a motion
I got towed,
on the floor.
and I got mad because.
All right, I have one final comment that is absolutely relevant. Lawrenceburg, it's my understanding that redevelopment is working really hard to, or beginning to, fill the gaps is the term that was used, where they're looking to put new single-family homes in. And there's a lot directly across the street that is smaller square footage than what we have. It's a wider lot, but they're actually promoting that and promoting grant money to get somebody to build there a single-family residential home. And we're here not asking for help for anything, we're just asking for permission to do the same to keep the downtown growth alive.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to have our attorney read the findings of fact.
I made a motion.
Been first and seconded.
Yes.
The applicant's proposed findings of fact read as follows. Number 1, the grant not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because we are simply requesting to add a single-family residential structure that would be of similar comparison to the existing structures in this zone. Use would be for owner occupants in accordance to building codes. 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the variance would allow the improvement of the subject property, which will increase value to neighboring properties and improve the overall facade of the street. Currently sits with chain link. Variance would allow historic look facade. 3, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because the current zoning code does not permit construction on a lot less than 30 feet wide, and the subject lot is approximately 29 feet wide. 4, any variance requested represents the smallest deviation possible because the zoning ordinance restrictions will not allow for construction due to the lot width requirements. 5, the approval of the variance requested is not based upon legally existing nonconformities of a similar nature in the same zoning district nor regulations from other zoning districts.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept or deny the finding of fact in the variance?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance as long as all those issues are taken care of.
Second motion. I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and second to approve the variance as requested. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'll say aye.
Do we have one opposed?
No opposed?
Okay.
Nope. Go to the next one. Where is my next one? Let's see here. The next one is Christina Frederick. Applicant is requesting a variance to the development standards of section 154.22-C and 154-33-A2-A2 of the Lawrenceburg zoning code. The purpose of this application is to allow for the redivision of lots for the subject properties. The affected properties are located at 919 Ridge Drive, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, parcel number 15-07-04-402-0008.00-013 and 15-007-04-402-007-000-012. You must be Christina.
I am. I'm
Can you
Christy.
go over your variance application, please?
I was actually here this time probably about last year with my mother. This was my mother's property. She passed away recently, so my brother and I own this property, and we were just wanting to redivide it.
Well, you got to set back and build a garage on it, right?
We did. This was the one where the neighbor hit the garage.
Right, yeah.
And the zoning had changed.
Garage looks nice, by the way.
Thank you. We want to split it. I would like to take the garage. I live across the street. And then my brother wants to take the house and then put a carport garage below attached to it, which is how it used to be. Used to have a garage underneath it, the house.
Underneath the house?
Uh-huh. Just like Gene Hunnefield's and Trent Evans' houses, the houses on the street, there used to be a garage underneath.
Yeah. Oh, I know, yeah, I know.
Yep, down that driveway, like,
But the back of that property is like,
It's a walkout side.
oh, it's,
Yep.
oh, okay, it's on the side, okay.
yeah, it's here on this, you see my RV there in the picture? There's like a concrete pad down there. So
Okay.
we would either build a carport or garage on, or potentially even just reopen up the block in the basement to put a garage in there for him.
So his house and that garage are on the same lot?
Correct. There was two parcels.
And you're across the street?
Across the street. There's two parcels there, but they're like horizontal to the road, so we just want to split them like this. Like, I think it's 10 foot off the garage.
I'm not exactly sure. How does that work on non-contiguous lots?
I'm sure she can attach it to her deed if she wishes, but I can't do a join on a lot across the street.
Right.
I mean, we'll do whatever we have to do. I mean, Denny Kraus is going to survey it if we get approved on a variance, he's going to survey it with the least amount of variance to meet whatever standards need to be met. Because we haven't done a quitclaim deed yet on the property or anything. Kramer said to do this first.
So you're basically gonna split this property in half?
We're going to try to split it, yep. I would like to take the freestanding garage over here, and then he's going to take the house and put another garage underneath how it used to be.
And her variance is to have the garage on its own lot, since we don't currently allow a accessory structure without a primary structure.
And I will not be building anything else in this lot.
So your primary structure is actually across the street?
It is. It's right across the street from this. I'm at 912 Ridge Drive. And this is 919.
Yeah, you live in the long...
I live in the Brick Ranch,
right,
yep.
Yeah, Long Brick Ranch.
Yep. And we've been doing a lot of improvements to my house, and we also want to do additional improvements to this house. But by me taking the garage, that frees up more funds for him to do more improvements. Because he's got to buy me out.
Any questions from the audience? Any questions from the board members? No? Can I get a motion to have our attorney read the finding of fact?
I need a motion.
Have a motion, need a second?
I'll second
Motion and seconded.
The applicant's proposed findings of fact read as follows. 1, the grant not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because the redivision of lots will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the freestanding garage at 919 Ridge will be included with 912 Ridge Drive. The house at 919 Ridge Drive will be adding attached carport / garage, decking, landscaping, internal remodeling, such as resurfacing original hardwood floors, painting, possible additions of bedrooms / bathrooms as well. 3, the strict application of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property because no practical difficulties based off redivision. 4, any variance requested represents the smallest deviation possible because surveyor Denny Kraus will do survey and redivision based upon what is approved with the variance. 5, the approval of the variance requested is not based upon legally existing nonconformities of a similar nature in the same zoning district, nor regulations from other zoning districts.
All right, is there a motion to accept or deny the finding of fact and the variance?
Make motion. A second motion.
Make a motion to
Accept.
accept, and you second it?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Thank you.
So your next steps, have Danny do your survey.
Yep.
That'll then
Danny
come
do
back
the
to Planning
survey, okay.
Commission and council for approval.
Can I borrow your pen? Need that.
After that split's done, after the survey's done, the Planning Commission has to approve that, so we got one more set of letters to
Oh, you
send.
gave me?
Okay.
Gave me?
Then council will be up after that.
Oh, right here.
to move forward.
Well, me too.
And I'll
He
have
is-
variance information for you sometime this week.
So then would I, would this select next?
Here you go. Get that one.
See how quick Danny can get it.
Well, come on.
Check with him. So should we do a motion to adjourn?
Go.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye, or I need a motion to adjourn. Seconded. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
You know?
I wanted to sign the paperwork first. You're welcome.
We'll sit down and meet whenever you're ready.
Spirited.
Bobby.
I've been,
Bobby.
We got another one here? Here's another one. Here's another one, guys.
back in the 90s.